Hey guys, and welcome to Mix Up. And today we're going to be starting a new section of Mix Up I like to call Let's Mix It Up. And basically the idea of Let's Mix It Up is to mix up a popular deck, say Zekrom Electric, and add a Luxio and Pokemon Center. I don't know, it's a really random one, but just to add some little flair to some decks that I think are a little boring. So first I'm going to go on to the deck that I used at Cities, or not Cities, I did use it at Cities, that I used at States. Durant, of course. Durant is a very popular deck. It stands alongside Zekrom Electric, Magnezone Electric, and CMT is the best decks in the format. And it's just a really great deck, but for the most part it's really boring. So let's find some ways to mix it up. Now some of these I know that are used popularly used by the people, a couple of them, but there are a few that I definitely think are creative and I feel like are worth showing. Alright, so let's get into the cards. First we're going to talk about a very interesting, or a very great card in the deck. I don't know how many people use this, but it's very, very useful. Spiritomb from Triumphant. Again, I'm not sure how many people actually do use this card, but if you don't, definitely use this because it is fantastic in this deck. Because once during your turn, put Spiritomb from your hand on your bench. You can make your opponent shuffle their hand in their deck and draw 6 cards. And that's basically the only reason you do this is if your opponent, it's not just to disrupt them, it's because, say, at the very end of the game, they have 7 cards in their deck and 3 cards in your hand, and they have 1 prize card and a Zekrom with 8 energy on it, so there's no way to get rid of it, and there's nothing on the bench, so you're screwed if you don't do something. You can't. There's nothing you can do. So and then you play Spiritomb and shuffle their hand in their deck and make them draw 6 cards. So there's 7 in their deck and 3 in their hands. Now they have 6 in their hand and 4 in their deck, and if you have a fully powered Devour, you can kill them. So that's basically the thing. Spiritomb is so great. It's won me many games. If this was not in my deck, I would have been destroyed. So if you do not have a Spiritomb in your deck, definitely put one in there because it is freaking amazing, and it's almost as I think it's almost as big as priority as Rotom. So yeah, next is actually a counter card or a mirror match card, Ditto, which basically has the power to make your opponent have a bench of 4 or less, and it's basically Durant. It's a decent Durant counter because, I mean, first of all, you have to put one. Durant just has to take up a spot on your bench too, and it's catcher bait. So it means your opponent can really only have one other thing on their bench. Say they really can only have, say, just a Rotom or just a Spiritomb, and Spiritomb, remember, it needs a lot of space. So Ditto, that's mainly the reason that it could be good. I don't use it in my deck, but it could be useful. I've seen some people had success with it. Alright, next we're going to talk about a different subject, which is I didn't mean to do that, which is fire decks, which are a big problem there. Now, Reshiram EX is not that big a problem, because you can easily catch your up Emboar. I mean, they're probably running a lot of Switch anyway, but Emboar is just a catcher bait waiting to happen. But the big problem for Durant is Typhlosion Prime. Typhlosion Prime basically destroys Durant. There's almost no way to get rid of it. There's nothing, it's basically invincible to Durant. It's made to counter it, because think about it. Say you're fighting a Reshiram deck, there's a Reshiram and Emboar. What do? Catch up the Emboar. And then they're stuck there for a few turns and they switch. So here's what happens with a Typhlosion deck. You're up against a Reshiram for some reason, with 2 energy. There's a Typhlosion on the bench with no energy, and there's another Typhlosion on the bench with no energy. Now, they could easily afterburner to the Reshiram, so you say, catch up Typhlosion. Then they double afterburn Typhlosion, attach another one, Flare Destroy, catch up Ninetales. Did I say there's Ninetales? No, you catch up at Ninetales. They afterburn to retreat, bring up Reshiram, afterburn to that, and the extra damage doesn't do jack because you're not going to be doing damage anyway. So you're basically stuck. There's nothing you can do. Your only chances are to... There's no chance. You're done. Okay, I'm kidding. But there are definitely some ways to counter it. The first one is a pretty standard one. It's Basculin from Merging Powers. Basically, you can just kill Typhlosion in one hit. that's second attack, Final Gambit. It says flip 2 coins, both of them are tailed. Attack does 80 damage to itself. It's 1 water, 2 colorless, and 80 damage. And if we're running Prism Energy, that's not a problem in the first place. But the only reason this might not work is if they have a catcher in their hand, because Flare Destroy discards energy. You can't really build one up while it's being attacked. So that's basically the only problem with Basculin. And also, he's just out of the range of Typhlosion's damage output, unless there's a plus power, which they probably do, because they don't really need plus powers in any other part of the game. But anyway, you could, I guess, no. Now that I think about it, you could also use Flail. There's 10 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. So if they capture up this and they don't have a plus power, that happens, then you do Flail for 70. I didn't even think about that. This is actually really. I thought this was just like a decent card, but now I think about it, this is actually really good. And I mean, especially if you put an Eviolite on it, then it's even better, because then it can't be killed by Typhlosion. So yeah, that's Basculin. I just realized that this is actually a really solid Typhlosion counter. Just if you have an Eviolite, then it's golden. Wait, 50. Maybe not golden, but I guess the afterburner damage will pile up after a while. So anyway, here's another strategy I find interesting. Jirachi from Call Legends or Unleashed. Now, Jirachi is a very popular card. It used to be good tech in Magnezone Electric. No, not Magnezone. Magnezone Yanmega. It's hard to think about Yanmega anymore because it's so unpopular now. But anyway, basically, the good thing about Jirachi is that it can, for each energy on it, you can de-evolve your opponent's Pokemon. So if they evolve with Rare Candy, you can de-evolve it to just a Cyndaquil, and if they don't have another Rare Candy in their hand, they're kind of stuck. But if they do, then you're kind of screwed. Or if they evolve through a Quilava, that's even worse. So here's another Pokemon that I think might be able to help you in this situation, which is Love Disc from Triumphant. Basically, it does, for 1 water energy, it does 3rd damage, and it says before doing damage, remove 1 damage counter from the different Pokemon, which could be bad since it takes away afterburner damage. But if you do this attack once, basically, then you can Jirachi them and kill them, because Quilava has 80 HP and Cyndaquil has 60. If they evolve through Rare Candy, you can kill them immediately, and if they evolve through Quilava, afterburn damage. If they'd done 3 by that point, they would have been dead. If you used a couple of Crushing Hammers, it would have been easy. So then there's one last card I think might be a decent counter to Typhlosion. Not the greatest, but it definitely could be of help, and that is Kyogre and Groudon Legend. Now, this is probably one of the least played Legends of all time, but it was actually a very interesting card. In fact, it was actually it was a precursor to Durant in some ways, in that it could mill. Let's look at the attacks. Both of them are ridiculously high energy costs, and you can't use Prism Energy, so you're going to have to run Rainbow, and that's one of the problems. And as you can most likely tell, it's Water type, so it's good against Typhlosion. And its first attack, Massive Eruption. It says discard the top 5 cards of your deck, and for each energy, it does 100 damage. For each energy discard, it does 100 damage. So if you discard 1 energy, it automatically kills your opponent. But its second one makes it even a bigger threat. Even bigger threat. Basically, it says discard. Sorry. I'm sorry. It says discard the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck and does 30 damage to all of the bench Pokemon, all of their bench Pokemon for each energy you discarded. So even after it also takes 3 hits to be. It takes 3 hits to be killed by Typhlosion. So basically, it can just destroy a Typhlosion. As long as you can build it up. Again, Flare Destroy will be a problem, but if you use Legend Box and you get pretty lucky, just get 2 rainbows on it, and because of Legend Box, it won't actually. If I'm correct, it won't actually take the damage of Rainbow Energy if you use Legend Box. So Kyogre and Groudon Legend is not the best card, but could be tested out, because it can after you're done with it, you don't just retreat it and use it for catcher bait. No, you can still use it for milling, and that's the thing I like about it. But again, if you get a good Legend Box, then it's great, but otherwise it's kind of stuck there if your opponent has a catcher. And for all these cards, I definitely recommend running a Sky or a Bridge, so you don't have to use a Switch, for example. Basculin, this standard situation, you have 3 Durants out, 2 Durants on the bench, 1 in the active, and then you use Basculin. Then you play Basculin, attach an energy to it, and then, well, Yeah, especially for the Love Disc one, because then if they, like, say, you don't have to run a bunch of switches if you have Sky or Bridge, basically. Like, say, you bring up Durant, then you play Love Disc, attach energy to it, and wait for the Durant to die, but if they catch up the Love Disc and it's dead, then you can't use it anymore. So yeah, that's that's the segment of Let's Mix It Up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week where we mix up another popular deck. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but hope to see you guys for that. Later. By the way, I will be at regionals for this coming month. It's at the 15th of April, I believe, for the one I'm going to. I think they're all on the same date, so you can't go to multiple of them. But anyway, I'm going to go to regionals, and I will either do the regional report, excuse me, at the end, like right after Let's Mix It Up, or I'm going to do it with the next Let's Mix It Up. So stay tuned for that next episode if you're looking for tournament reports. Later for real this time. Right.